everyone, it's Jack from WhatCulture.com, and it's time for the fast count. Sam Driver's editing this one.
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, Pacini Club for life, too sweet. Oh, 2016 all over again. Let's go. First, let's start off with all of this week's WWE news. First of all, some good news regarding the condition of Ric Flair. He has improved, apparently, noticeably after being in a pretty serious condition, and it's been described by various people as a miracle, in fact. One of those people was Triple H, who recently spoke to ESPN and said, Ric Flair, he's doing much better. I spoke to him a couple of days ago on the phone, and I'll speak to him again today. If anyone can kick out of this and kick out on 2.5, it'll be Flair. He's like Teflon. He's not out of the woods 100% yet, but he's doing much better. So if everyone keeps him in their thoughts still, it will be great. He's going to be there, and I guarantee you'll see him strutting down the aisle one more time, giving everyone the big woo. It's really good news that Flair is recovering, and it's great to hear such kind words from Triple H as well. So I'm sure that all the wrestling community will come together and wish Ric Flair the very best. Next up, it's time to talk about the Mae Young Classic. Many of you may have watched it already. The first 4 episodes, which covered the entirety of the first round of the tournament, went out on the network on Monday in a kind of simultaneous Netflix-style release. They're going to do the same thing again this Monday with the next round of the tournament. And there were some great matches. There was a big disparity in terms of quality and experience, I think was obvious for many people who watched it, but a lot of the women did impress a lot. Mainly, I think some of my favourite matches were Arby Laith, known as Kimberly on the Indies. Arby Laith versus Jazzy Gabor, the alpha female German lady. Kairi Sane had a great match with Tessa Blanchard, probably the best match of the first round, and reassuringly, she did hit that elbow drop, which many have regarded as the best elbow drop in the world of wrestling today. It's really good. Have you seen it? It's really good.
It's so slick.
It's slick, man. Shit. There were also great performances from some of the wrestlers that I've been fortunate enough to work in the same capacity as. Not work, like work. I've been in the same building as them. Viper had a great match. She's gone through the next round. Or Piper Nevin, as she's known in WWE now. Kaylee Ray had the first match of the whole tournament against Princessa Shuhei and lost. She's not in, and it was very surprising. Maybe the biggest upset of the first round because, I mean, Kaylee Ray got a big pop when she came out and everyone was really behind her, and then she tapped out. I don't want to suggest that Princessa Shuhei has gone through because she's, you know, a masked wrestler, a luchador, and that's very marketable. I don't want to really suggest that, but why have they, you know, why have they knocked someone out as quickly, someone so experienced and is just as good as Kaylee Ray? I don't know. Elsewhere, Mia Yim had a great match as well against Crazy Mary Dobson, but that's not her WWE name. I'm getting so...
You're getting really bogged down at this point, Jack.
There's so many names that have changed. What's Crazy Mary Dobson's name now? Crazy Mary Dobson. Sarah Logan. Great match with Mia Yim. I wanted Sarah Logan to win, but Mia Yim won. Still really good. She's good as well. Look forward to seeing her in the next round. But I just want to mention Shayna Baszler, one of the 4 horsewomen of MMA. The other 3 horsewomen were at ringside, including, of course, Ronda Rousey, one of the biggest stars in mixed martial arts. Baszler has been kind of billed, you can tell, as kind of a Brock Lesnar figure, someone who fights legitimately, uses real kind of MMA techniques, and choked out her opponent in about a minute or 2. It was very kind of a snap result. Very interesting going forwards to see if she defeats her next opponent quickly and whether she'll be built up as the monster heel going forwards. I don't personally know, I've avoided all spoilers, so I'm looking forward to the next set of tapings, which will drop on Monday on the WWE Network. Now, I mentioned earlier that Triple H did an interview with ESPN where he updated everyone on Ric Flair's condition. Roman Reigns also did the media rounds with ESPN, and he sadly threw some doubt on a possibility of him becoming involved in the Shield reunion angle. Reigns explained that he'd feel like a third wheel if he were to rejoin, which I'm sure has just set the fanfiction world ablaze. Do you like...
You would know all about that.
About fanfiction? Yeah. Love fanfiction. I read ours out in the office.
Yes, you do.
Yeah. Oh, it's great.
Me and you, mate.
Me and you, often. Me and you often.
A lot of the time, yeah. Even when you were a horse.
I was a horse once. Yeah. Adam and Adam. Adam squared. Blomsom Pachuti. Other combinations.
They're a fun bunch, aren't they?
I mean, Hobo Joe started getting involved.
Yeah.
And... Has Adam Wilborn?
I have no idea. Should we crack on?
So Roman Reigns said that he's probably not going to be involved in that storyline. He tried to say it in a roundabout, kind of kayfabe maintainy way. He said that look, I need a transition period after I've come out of this feud. He called it the Four Monsters feud, which I assume means himself, Samoa Joe, Brock Lesnar, and Braun Strowman. So everyone just calm down. The Shield reunion may not happen in full, and it may not happen at all. I mean, I can see Dean Ambrose turning heel still. Oh, it's time for all the news. It's time for all the news from elsewhere in the world of wrestling, and we've got a mixture of like serious news, including someone who's been condemned by the entirety of the wrestling community, and some light-hearted news as well. Lovely. First, let's talk about TripleMania, AAA's WrestleMania, which happened last weekend. There are two major pieces of news coming out of this show. The main one I'm sure you've heard of involves Sexy Star. You may be more familiar with her from Lucha Underground.
Richard Tubman's favourite wrestler.
Richard Tubman's not his favourite wrestler. She's been condemned by a lot of the wrestling community, including names as big as Cody Rhodes on Twitter, who said she'd never set foot in the same locker room as him going forwards. Basically, there was a four-way women's match for the title. The other two women in the match, not including Rosemary, who features very heavily in the finish, were kind of shooting on Sexy Star a bit. She was kind of shooting back. There was some legitimate blows exchanged, and then we got to the finish where Rosemary, who'd been completely professional throughout the match, offered her arm for the arm bar, and Sexy Star legitimately talked on her arm and did apparently injure her. Rosemary since released a statement and received a lot of support from the wrestling community. Sexy Star released a statement just the other day and did not receive a lot of support from the wrestling community. She has been getting a lot of shit, and I honestly think rightly so, because wrestling is a sport or an entertainment or an art or whatever where two people are constantly putting each other's safety in each other's hands, and it's just their own safety in each other's hands. Yes, that's the one. And it's just completely unprofessional. It's basically as if I was sat writing something at my desk and Sam walked past and put an armbar on me.
The amount of times I've wanted to do that.
Right. And finally, the main event of that show was Dr. Wagner Jr., a legend of Lucha Libre, in a mask versus mask match against Psycho Clown, who's, I'm not too familiar with him, but he's a psycho clown, but he's a super babyface.
There's a huge stable of clowns.
But he left the stable of clowns. I've done some research.
I can't follow AAA anymore. When the clowns came in, that was it.
There's
like Joker Sting.
Murder Clown, Monster Clown, and Psycho Clown's the big babyface. He is the Hulk Hogan of the Mexican clown world. And he defeated Dr. Wagner Jr., who then removed his mask. Apparently, according to the Wrestling Observer newsletter, this was the most watched match in North America in nearly 30 years. That's crazy, and it just goes to show the enduring appeal, I guess, and just eternal popularity of wrestling in Mexico. It's very, very important to their culture. Now it's time to talk about the Battle of Los Angeles, or BOLA, as it's colloquially known, the annual Indie Fest tournament that happens every year under the Pro Wrestling Guerrilla banner in Los Angeles or a nearby. No, it's in LA. It's the Battle of BOLA. The frontrunners this year are, well, last year I flukily predicted Marty Scurll. I said I think Scurll will win, and he did. So I guess this year I've got to try and go for two in a row, and it's tricky. Very tricky indeed. Some of the frontrunners, Travis Banks, who of course has wrestled for WCPW very, very well. He's one of the biggest rising stars in wrestling at the minute. Originally he was my initial pick to win, but then there's so many guys in the tournament who could feasibly win. Former winners such as Ricochet and Marty Scurll are in there. Matt Riddle's in there. I changed my pick to Riddle, then back to Banks, and I've settled on Keith Lee. I think, this is my official prediction, I think Keith Lee is going to win the Battle of LA. That clip's going to be used when he's knocked out in the first round. And finally, there is a title match next week on Impact Wrestling for the top title between Eli Drake, who of course won the gauntlet for the gold last week to become the new champion after it was stripped from Alberto El Patron, and the number one contender, Eddie Edwards, who is a former GFW champion. He won it last year and enjoyed quite a short reign after that shock victory over Bobby Lashley. Eddie Edwards is also a former Ring of Honor champion, world champion, and just a really good wrestler. But despite that, I don't think he's going to win next week. My prediction is that Drake will retain his belt. He's only just won the title, and I think they'll keep it on him for a little while longer at least.
Eddie Edwards has also just became the first Gaijin to win Noah's belt.
Has he?
I believe so.
And there's a bit of bonus news for you. And now it's time, and I don't know what you're going to do, it's time for my Wrestler of the Week. My Wrestler of the Week this week is for about the third or fourth time this year, and it's hard to argue though. Like every time I pick him, I just think, I've picked him again, but it's Will Ospreay again, and you can't argue with it. Like, I said last week that I don't want to focus too much on WCPW, but we have kind of provided some of the best matches of the past week in the world of wrestling. Not to sound cocky, but it's down to Will Ospreay and all the people he wrestled and everyone in the tournament, but mainly Will Ospreay, because he had a series of incredible matches in the tournament. His match with Mike Bailey has caused a few waves on the internet. Check that out if you haven't already. Speak about Mike Bailey, a very, very talented Canadian wrestler. Then in the finals, he had a wonderful match against Ricochet, where Ricochet kind of beat him down for most of the match, and then Ospreay pulled out a shock win. And then in the final, an awesome match with Kushida. Check that out if you haven't already. Ospreay continues to impress all the time, and it's just weird, isn't it?
He's 24.
I know. In the words of Adam Pacitti, I just eat pizza and wank all day. He did say that one.
On that bombshell.
And on that bombshell, I've been Jack from WhatCulture.com. Thank you to Sam for shooting and editing this video. Don't know where Tubman or Hobo Joe are.
I have no idea.
No.
No idea.
But thanks for watching. Leave your thoughts and opinions in the comment section below, and I'll see you soon.